Welcome back to your Networth's Network. I'm your host, Corey McNabb, and this is a networking style podcast where we bring up special guests, learn a little about them, about their business, and how we can all work together and be friends. My goal in life is to rise to a place of excellence, and I want to bring you with me. Now, I know we're in a different spot. Don't worry about it. We'll be back in our new spot next week. Anyways, let's bring up our guest, Mr. Nathaniel, and I swear I'm going to butcher it, Hovsepian. Nope, I said it wrong.
Hovsepian, yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of time to practice that, but I appreciate you. You wouldn't imagine, you could imagine maybe the versions of that I've heard. I was in the Marine Corps, so think of a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids playing with that last name.
I get it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nathaniel, go ahead, introduce yourself. I know this is the first time we're talking, but tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, how far deep do we want to go on that? But like I just mentioned, I was a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So, rah. I still do hold a lot of those values and, morals and things that I learned along the way. I wouldn't be where I am right now without that. So I like to kind of, start with that. But I was a mechanical engineer student after getting out of the Marine Corps. That's where I met my wife, business partner. We both graduated as mechanical engineers. We met at Cal State Long Beach in Southern California, and shortly thereafter, moved to Oklahoma. When I met her, I was like, I don't want to stay in California. I've been in the Marine Corps. I've seen a lot of this country. I want to go see some more. I know that nothing. I mean, some bad about California, but nothing bad about California. It wasn't serving where we were at in our life. Cost of living, lots of people on people, and we wanted a little bit more space and just a little bit more freedom and our dollar going a little bit longer. And so that's kind of where I got started in my investing journey. I had sold my condo in California that I had bought while I was there and going to college, and I had this influx of cash, and we were like, okay, I want to buy an investment property. I want to buy a rental. I've seen that real estate is a thing, and I want to do that. And we found this beautiful house, like 7 acres, kind of just on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. It was going to be our personal home, and she got a job like an hour and a half away from it. And so I was like, oh, that's not going to work. I don't want you in the car 3 hours a day. She was working 10-hour shifts at the time. And so we're barely going to ever see each other. And so we fell backwards a little bit into this being a rental. It ended up being a great rental. I wish we had kept it because it was doing pretty well for us. But when we moved to South Carolina, it just seemed to make sense we were managing it ourselves, so to not hold it anymore, but we decided to sell it. So at that time, I wasn't, real estate was kind of going to be my focus. And I was like, I'll go direct to seller. I'll start finding houses that I want to buy, and come to find out that when you're going direct to seller, you end up in a lot of properties that you don't necessarily want to purchase yourself. So I found myself wholesaling. And this is going back to 2016. So I had wholesaled for 6.5, 7 years. We flipped a bunch of properties during that time as well. We had held some other properties as rentals. We had a couple that we had bought and sold on like a wrap, creative financing. So we hold some notes as well. We've done a few different, things in real estate. And just recently at the beginning of this year, we've pivoted to, I'm not wholesaling anymore. I'm going to be very, very picky about the flips that we do. We're just looking to buy creative deals at this point and hold them as, co-living, midterm rentals, short-term rentals, those sorts of things.
Gotcha. Okay. So you started wholesaling in South Carolina?
We started wholesaling in Oklahoma. I've done pretty whatever marketing channel you can think of. I've done it. And we could talk about that if you want, not sticking to one for a long enough duration, but I've done a deal with every marketing channel that, like, from literally direct mail, cold calling, Google, Facebook ads, just straight up SEO. We have a high ranking website for our local local to here now company, but I've door knocked, done a deal door knocking, like, yeah.
Okay. So where is local for you now?
Local, yeah. So we're in South Carolina. We're right on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. So for you and those of you out there that might be listening, if you're familiar with the Masters tournament, Augusta, Georgia is where it's one of the most prestigious golf tournaments. Prestigious. Yeah. It's one of the most prestigious golf tournaments in the world. We're 25 minutes from that. We're exit 1 in South Carolina coming into Georgia, or
No.
from Georgia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know Augusta. I've been there a few times.
Okay.
I'm up. I don't know if you know of Helen, Georgia.
Not been there, but I think we wholesaled the deal there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I live just south of Helen,
Okay.
up in the Georgia mountains.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's what. So you're buying now, right? You're not wholesaling anymore.
Right. I mean, I will wholesale if a deal comes to me and I know a buyer. Right. I'm not going to go market it and do walkthroughs and stuff like that. If I know somebody and it's pretty just local to me at this point, the buyers that I know, I will still wholesale. Like, I'll JV with somebody to connect to a buyer, but
Okay.
I'm not marketing for wholesaling anymore. We're buying from wholesalers at this point. We're just kind of taking the path of least resistance when it comes to adding to our portfolio.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to connect with you a little more because it sounds like you're doing what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Are you sticking just in single family, or are you branching out into multifamily as well?
We're open to multifamily, but because we don't have any experience there, we not we're definitely open to partnering with people, but because we're really singularly focused on buying as many properties as we can, we don't want to divert too much of that attention. And that's why I kind of mentioned too, we're very, very picky with the flips that we're going to do. Like, previously we were at 70%, the typical 70% minus repairs. Now it's got to be for us to divert attention to that. It's got to be a sweeter deal than that. Just because
Gotcha.
we're buying deals. I want to buy and add to our portfolio.
Yeah. So, and are you buying only in Augusta, or are you everywhere?
Yeah, all over minus the handful of states that you can imagine. We're across the nation.
Okay. And
I
so
guess
how did?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
For somebody, I know but for those of you that don't know what Imagine is, it's California, Washington, Oregon, Illinois, New York. The really, nothing against the blue, but the blue states that are very landlord unfriendly and would give squatters rights to houses more than they would the actual owner of the house.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I get it. I think if you're brand new to real estate, you probably don't know that. So I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask though, so you're getting your leads from wholesalers already.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I keep trying to think of how to ask the question outside of just saying how.
Yeah.
I guess, like, where did you find these wholesalers? How did you get in touch with them? That type of.
A lot of Facebook, a little bit of this type of stuff where I'm just talking about what we're doing on podcasts. A lot of Zooms. I get into Zooms and I talk about what we're doing and finding out what the other person is doing. We try to provide as much value as we can to the other wholesalers and people like that. That we can kind of learn where they're at in their business and where they're trying to go. And by providing the value to them, they end up coming back to us as a resource, as a buyer, right? Because along the way, they understand what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I could show you how to lock up a deal creatively and what works for us, well, when you get that deal, you already know Nathaniel's buying it, or he's at least interested in it. So, it's kind of a synergistic thing that I've set up. But like we were talking about before we started recording here, I do a lot on Facebook. I have a podcast of my own where I'm talking about what we're doing, and I'm similar to this. It's just a conversation. I'm networking with other people, and so it's mainly Facebook. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Facebook, cool. Yeah, because like I could totally understand, especially in Augusta, going to meetups, meeting people in person, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I find that to be the best way to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I mean, this comes in a close second, right? I can at least see your face, and we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spent 3 months cold calling with the Muds out in Houston.
Okay.
Not really a fun guy.
Yeah.
So I'm all about being in person, pretending like I know what I'm doing, just going after it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my preferred. Like, I use Facebook very strategically as a tool in my business. I'm not somebody that's scrolling on there. I just don't have the time to do it, really. I'm not on. I do use Instagram for business as well. I'm not on there scrolling. If you do see me scrolling, it's probably on YouTube. I'm looking at some silly videos or something. But even that, I don't have the time for it. I fill my time with networking with people, figuring out how we can buy our next properties, and then I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but hanging out with the wife and the kiddos.
Yeah. No, I get it. So the time management side of it.
Yeah.
Do you have a method for that, or is it just come naturally to you?
Oh no, it doesn't come naturally. That's for sure. I very heavily rely on my Google Calendar, which is always open. It's the very leftmost tab on my Chrome, and Chrome it's sadly my computer doesn't get shut off probably enough because there's always stuff open. I'm like, I don't want to lose those, but yeah, I heavily rely on the Google Calendar. I rely on not only my personal calendar sending out. I don't use Calendly, but it's very, very similar to Calendly. I do it through my CRM and other people's Calendlys to put phone call, networking calls onto my calendar. And then I go, okay, what are the tasks that need to happen today, and fill those open slots. And everything gets color coded. If it's a me task, it's green. If it's a Brittany task, it ends up getting orange. If it's an us task, it turns yellow. If it's like a personal me thing, it goes blue. If it's a personal Brittany thing, it turns pink. So you can easily look at and when a reasoning behind the color coding is I want to see all those colors, right? I want to see personal time. I want to see a lot of green, like me working time, and I want to see a lot of orange, her working time. But I also want to see the family time, the yellow stuff. And if I don't see a lot of that, if there's not a nice rainbow there, it means, oh, okay, I didn't do a good job today filling those time slots in. I need to adjust what greens can I take out, or what blues can I take out to put in some of those yellows. I think that answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good. So do you have a set ratio to, I guess, work time and personal time or family time?
Yes and no. I typically will do two, not ratio, but a time. So I'm very diligent about, we do a 20 to 30 minute lunch every day where all of us are eating lunch. We do an hour and a half of dinner leading into putting the kids down at bedtime. It's pretty non-negotiable. Unless it's an emergency something, you can't really reach me during that time. I will still check the phone and look just no, there's nothing that needs me right now. Or oh yeah, that needs me. Let me just respond to something really quick. But and then I do 45 minutes, an hour a day to preferably outside with the kids. Like we'll do a morning walk together. We usually do an afternoon walk together. That's the kids and the dog. But then, the rest of the time is really filled with working. If I'm not like going to the gym on a Wednesday morning to play basketball, it's stuff getting done here at the house. Like we work before the kids wake up. We split time working throughout the day, and the other person's being with the kids, doing whatever the kids are needing at that time, and then we work after the kids go to bed. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's something me and my wife. I mean, my wife right now, she is a housewife, basically.
Yeah. Full-time.
So, and she does want to be involved in the real estate stuff, but she just hasn't had the time. We've got 2 kids. We got a third one on the way, and she's busy taking care of them while I'm, trying to build something.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear from someone else, because it's kind of like I always go to her. I'm like, babe, these guys are doing this and this and this, and she goes, do they have kids?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
We're in the when's your third due?
December.
Okay, so yeah, and you mentioned your oldest, but you didn't say how old. Okay, so it's very similar. Okay, so we have a 3. He'll be 4 in February of next year, so he's 3.5. Our second is 2 in October, and our third is due in October. So we're, we're heavy. About once a week, I think about, man, we should get somebody to come in for a couple hours a day and like as a nanny. But
we're having the same conversations too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is our time. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it doesn't help, like our close family, they don't help.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah. At this point, I'm like, okay, I got to start getting some deals in so I can pay for a nanny.
Yeah. That's it. That's like one of the first things that I think we're gonna. It's tough because we have a lot of things that we do with the kids, like teaching and learning and those types of things wise, that we could find the right person, right, that would come in, and that's that who not how kind of mentality coming into play. But are they going to put as it's different? I guess it's different when it's my business, because that's not my little human, right? It's a little bit more. They're not going to love them like I do. They're not going to put as much care into their future and that as I do, right? If I could bring in somebody that does my business as 70% or 75% as well as I do, sweet. Like bring it on. But 75% with my kids isn't cutting it, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, there was something. My wife, she went to, she got her bachelor's in psychology, and she learned how to research and all this stuff. That she was homeschooled as well, and I didn't learn anything from public school.
Yeah.
So, she's been doing a bunch of research because, of course, jumping into parenthood, it's a big change. And so she started researching as much as she could to figure out, I guess, the best path or whatever. And something interesting she found out was that it's kind of a negative or a con to the daycares, in that in the first 3 years, apparently having a central person that is going to be there. Doesn't matter if it's the mom, doesn't matter if it's the dad or an outside caregiver, but they have to be regularly there.
Interesting.
Like each day. That's what's important, to give that sense of security or
consistency.
Yeah, consistency. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Even if you do get a nanny, if you can screen enough to where you're like, okay, we're good having you here for the next 3 years or whatever, or regularly showing up in the next 3 years, I don't think that'll be as big of a difference as though, new nanny, okay, different nanny, that type of thing.
new counselor at the daycare they
Yeah.
come in every 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want to say it's in Japanese culture where like for the first 2 or 3 years it's just like they're attached to the mom,
Hmm.
and like they do everything that the mom does. I think there's a lot of value in that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, there's also the part of it is that um, most of those cultures, you're like in the same house with your
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
right? So like even because I think it's either Chinese or Japanese culture that right after birth, the mom is like secluded to the bed for like a month,
Mm.
and the grandma takes care of the baby and all this stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that way it gives her time to heal and get back into it.
Yeah, you probably don't have like postpartum issues that way. You're just like, I can't handle this baby screaming all the time.
Yeah.
What did I do?
Well, honestly, we found the biggest thing for that was sleep.
Yeah.
Once we, um, which I don't know if every time I've said this to someone, they've been like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "They have kids." I'm like, "How do you not know this?" But after 3 months, like after the baby's born, 3 months after, they don't need to eat at night.
Yeah.
Their bodies can actually hold those calories at that time.
Yeah.
And so once we hit that, my wife didn't believe it. So it was actually 4 months for our first one. After 4 months, I was like, all right, one, you're losing your mind
Hmm.
because you're not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't say it like this. I'm
Right.
kidding.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know,
you crazy?
but there's obviously something going wrong. So let's sleep train the kid. Um, So that's what we did. And as soon as it took 3 days, we did the fervor method, the cry it out, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Again, she did all the research for it. But after 3 days, she was sleeping through the night, not waking up, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And so my wife was finally able to get some sleep. And suddenly she was normal.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and I can imagine the kids become, uh, you know, more
oh yeah, they're
normal.
happier.
Yeah. That's
So
it's funny you brought that. That's on my podcast. I always ask at the end, like, "Hey, do you have any book recommendations?" And on this, like, anybody who's having a kid, I will buy you Baby Wise. It's a sleep
yes.
training book. Like, it was something that we prioritized. I don't know how we came about it when we had our first one, but he was sleeping 10 hours by 3 months and he was sleeping 12 hours by like 4.5 months. And everybody was like, oh, it's a fluke. I'm like, I don't think so. I think we just like followed the path here and like we didn't figure it out. We just read a book and told us how to do it. And like baby number two, here he comes, sleeping 10
Mhm.
hours by 2 months. And like, yeah, it's a thing.
So have you found that, and we can get back to real estate if you want, but
Yeah.
I'm curious. Have you found that your youngest is picking up things quicker than your oldest did?
Yeah.
Okay, we are
You think
too.
like, oh, he's smarter, but I think he's just exposed. He's seeing the little human above him doing these things, and yeah, he's like, it's pretty crazy. He's not even two yet, and he's speaking in full sentences, and like I think I told my it was 2 days ago. He went down for a nap, and I'm out here working, and he understands at this point. Like when he goes and naps, I stay out here working. And I turned around, I'm like, "Hey kiddo, how was nap?" And he goes, "Good. How was working?" And I'm like, "What the heck? You're like 19 months old. Like it's crazy." But yeah, they're just absorbing like little sponges. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My youngest, her new thing is why.
Oh gosh.
She'll
Yeah.
she'll she'll point out something and then go why. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer it most of the time. What? Why do you even ask? Yeah, ours is, hey, can you bring your tray over for dinner? Why? Because it's dinner time, bro. Like, yeah,
Oh,
and we're
goodness.
and we're heavy into the nose right now with the little one. No, even when you're not even asking a yes or no question. No, dude,
Yeah.
I just said Huxley right now. Huxley, no. Okay, whatever. It's cute, but it can get frustrating. Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, so I want to go back to business stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so you're buying creative deals all over.
hmm
Sounds like you may have leads coming in. So what do you need more of?
We're all. I mean, to break it down as simply as possible, like there's two things that we need to buy houses. We need leads, what in whatever form you choose. We choose creative deals that at least break even as a long-term rental from wholesalers, and we need money. So we're partnering up with people that have money to go buy those deals. So we do all the work of finding the deals, underwriting and vetting the deals, getting contractors, property managers, furnishing the places for the different exit, the hold strategies that we do. And then we bring in somebody as either a private money lender or a private money partner to fund the deal. Typically we're at like 70,000, I think, is kind of our entry point into these properties at this point. That's more of a Brittany question, to be honest, what the exact numbers are. But um, I would say at this inflection point, I think that it goes up and down. Like you get more deals, and then you need more money, and then you have the money, and then you need more deals to bring to those people. Right now we need more people that want to lend on properties, that
Okay.
are interested in either just being a lender and getting that 15% return on their investment for 12 plus months, or being a partner and getting a little bit more, a little bit less of a return on the investment, but getting some appreciation and some depreciation and some equity when the eventual exit does happen.
Gotcha. Okay. So there was something you said, creative deals breaking even. What do you mean by breaking even on creative
Yeah,
deals?
so at um, are not managing any of our properties. So with a property manager in place, that's typically in the 10 to 12% for a long-term rental. It needs to just at least be covered. The long-term rent with a property manager in place needs to at least cover the rent, the PITI.
Okay.
And that is, I say that as that's our first sniff test into whether we should even start looking at this deal further. Right? If you were to bring me a property where the PIT is 2 grand and I go look and the rent is 2 grand or less, like I'm not going to look at that deal any further. So when I'm out there talking with people, I try to do my best. I don't try to do my best. I do my best to make that clear, because I don't want our operations manager Joanna to have to be looking at those things, looking at deals. She still does, but I don't want her to be spending her time sifting through those deals where, like, okay, this one doesn't break even, this one doesn't break even. I want her to just be underwriting deals that we can go buy. And so, like, that's our, like, if if the other hold strategies that we had in place for whatever reason hit the fan, pad split shuts down, like is kind of happening in the Fort Worth area in Texas right now. Fort Worth does not want pad split around. So anybody who's got pad splits going on right now, be aware of that there's stuff happening there. So, like, if you're pad split heavy in that area and all of a sudden you can't do pad split anymore, and any other strategies that you might have, now at least I've underwritten this deal to where I can break even as a long-term rental, and I can hold it for a long enough period to where the rents appreciate or the house appreciates, and I can just exit the property and sell and make everybody whole. So that's
Gotcha.
our first, yeah, that's our first, like, kind of sniff test. And then what's the highest and best use for this thing? Is it a short-term rental? Like, we're looking at one right down the street right now that there's a few different ways that you could short-term. It's weird. Um, Brittany was telling me about it earlier, that because we're so close to the Masters, people just put their house for like $1,000 a night, and they get like a 4% occupancy rate. So because when the Masters comes, you could rent out the house for like 20 grand a week. And then, a few other times a year, people will come in to play at Augusta National, and they're willing to spend $1,000 a night for a nice house. Or you do a $100 a night short-term rental, and you get like an 85% occupancy rate. So it's like this weird balance
Yeah,
of what do you want to do?
I've heard people doing that before, where they'll buy a house right there by the Masters, not touch it all year until the Masters, and rent it out, and it pays the mortgage for the whole
Yeah.
year.
I tried to get her to do it this year with our house. I'm glad we didn't, but we have a camper, and I was like, let's just get in the camper. We'll go camping for a week. Like,
So
we,
many times.
yeah, we'll take all our personal belongings and stuff out. But she was like, I don't want somebody sleeping on my bed. I was like, we'll buy a new mattress, like 10 grand.
Oh goodness. No, that's fun. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's been like, babe, let's just sell everything, go buy a camper, move into that, and then rent out the house and all this stuff. Oh man.
Great minds think alike. Corey. Great minds think.
Okay, so I got a question for you. When you're raising money for these deals, or you're bringing in private money lenders, I don't know if this would work for private money partners. Do you charge an acquisitions fee as part of that, or?
We do. Yeah,
Okay.
we pay ourselves up front for the deals that we buy. And, some people look at it like a lot, but there's a lot that comes out of the acquisitions fee that we pay ourselves, setting up LLCs, setting up bank accounts, right? We have to pay our operations manager. We did do a work to find the deal and bring it to you, bring this opportunity to you as a lender in the first place. So we should get paid for that opportunity as well. And now we're entering into the deal as either, this opportunity is going to get you 15% returns on your money, whereas you can't really get that much places else unless you really want to be active in your lending, or right, you're going to be an equity partner in these deals. And so we're
still charge it for private money partners?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
gotcha. I didn't know how that would go, since they're they're still just bringing the money to the table. So, and you've got to do the LLC and all that. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's you could break all those things down into it costs this much to do an LLC, depending on what state, right? $400 to $1,000, right? It costs this much to set up a bank account and put funds into the bank account. All the little things that happen, right? Our operations manager needs to get paid for every deal that we buy. That's how she gets paid. She gets paid for us going out and buying deals, right? If I don't put the acquisitions fee in there, where's that money coming from? I could put it in there like, hey, the operations manager fee, but it also covers, we're putting money into the business just in case there's any other costs that we missed along the way, right? There are sometimes little surprises. Like we bought one, 2 weeks ago, I think, that the insurance company wanted us to prepay the year. And we didn't know that prior to getting to the closing table. We're like, all right, take it out of the acquisitions fee, right? We just don't pay ourselves on this one. No big deal. Let's go buy some more deals.
So how big is your operation right now?
That's it. Just the three of us.
Just the three of you.
Yep. And oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to ask, how many properties have you bought since you started buying?
3, maybe 7 in the last 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. We're looking to get to 2 to 3 a week. So we've got a lot of work to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a selfish question,
mm-hmm.
and it is okay to tell me to go kick rocks.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to be like your mentee and come shadow you, or something like that? What would be of most value to you?
Yeah, I would say, going back to the 2 things that we need question, either bring us deals that work, right? And I can show you how to underwrite, how we underwrite, right? For first step is, does it break even as a long-term rental? Or bring people that are willing to lend or partner as equity partners on said deals. And then we essentially go, you're going to get you're going to get paid either a referral fee for bringing the deal or a referral fee for the connecting the lender to us, and then we'll show you how the process, kind of the whole step of the way. So we're actually doing that with a couple other people right now that are trying to progress to where we're at the moment. Like, hey, bring us some deals. Like, let's go through that process together of, hey, this is a deal and this is not a deal. And then once we get to that, hey, this is a deal, let's submit the offer, or, let's go to the wholesaler and get a contractor in there, all those things. Like, you're going to walk through that process with us. Here's all the paperwork. You're looped into the emails with with our transaction coordinator and title or escrow company, depending on the state. And so you're seeing all the steps of the way, like, hey, this is what it takes to get a deal done. And it takes a few at least to kind of see all the steps, because there are things that I don't know by any means, because I've only, done, I don't know, 100 deals at this point. And some things are going to be the 0.1% of the time that come up, but it takes a few deals to really see the whole scheme of things, because there's some things about a sub 2 that there isn't with a seller finance, right? And there's some things about Texas that there isn't with Utah, so you got to get in there and do a few deals, but typically one to two deals, you kind of can get the gist of it. Like, I don't need Nathaniel anymore. We're always here, of course. I mean, I would love to partner with everybody, but I'm here to help. I have my helping hands hour that's what it's designed for. I do that every Thursday at noon Eastern time. That just like, hey, you got questions, come in, ask them. I'll answer deal specific questions. I'll answer kind of like general, hey, how do I even get started questions. I've role played with people. Hey, I'm going to be your agent. Like, let's talk like I'm your agent. And then I can give advice. And then, like, man, there's connections that it's crazy, because I hear about it from the Zooms in sub 2, right? Where there's like 500 people in there, and we've had, we have 10, and there's connections that have been made. Just today, we had a private money lender who likes to lend on flips connected with somebody who's looking to do their first flips. Like,
Awesome.
oh, it's cool. It's cool to see. Like,
Yeah. That's something I need to be better at, is making sure I'm getting on those Zooms. And even like yours, I've seen you post about them, and I'm like, actually earlier when you had your one earlier today,
yeah,
I thought about, well, I'm going to talk to him here in a little bit.
yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So, guys, that was for me. Okay, only. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously, this guy's a go-giver. So if you bring him a deal, it seems like he's willing to work with you. I am definitely going to be bringing you a deal. I think there's something else to, yes, you're ahead of me, but it doesn't seem like you're miles ahead of me. And also, there is the actual, like, we're not that far. Like, I could drive
Physically, yeah.
to go see you.
Yeah.
The other mentor I have, he's up in Vermont. I'm not
Okay.
gonna go
Yeah.
all the way up there. I mean, I will if I need to, but like, it's not something I can just. Oh, you know what? Let's go.
Yeah. Mine's in Alaska, so it's even a.
Oh, yeah. See, okay, you get it.
I know it's you're probably, from what I know, you're probably like 2.5, 3 hours away. I think we're actually gonna be up your way the first week of August. So every 3 years, my side of the family, my sister and my parents, we go to either near my sister, because they're in Nebraska now, or near my parents, and we do a family vacation. So due to us being 8 months pregnant, coming our family vacation, they're coming out here this time. So we're going up into the mountains. It's just north of Atlanta, right?
Yeah, Northeast.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're coming. We'll be. Long story short, the reason I said that was I do hold a meetup every month, third Saturday at 9:30 out here in Augusta, and I did it selfishly. I hold it at a park with a
AM.
playground. Yeah, AM. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Can't be
No.
doing all
Yeah.
the late night ones
We
anymore.
have it we have it at a playground. So I'm like, because I like, I want to spend time with my kids, but I also want to, I'm able to kind of dip into both that way. Where like Brittany and I will swap who's playing on the playground with the kids and who's networking. And so I was like, I'm hosting the meetup. I can have it where the heck I want. Like, let's have it at a playground. So
That
anybody
is a
that wants to bring the
wonderful
kids.
idea.
Yeah. Like,
I might start doing that around here too.
yeah, you can. I mean, like, hey, I'm meeting up here. It started out as just sub two, and it's probably going back to the beginning of this year now. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's open it up to whoever wants to come. It's still typically mostly sub two because we're in that mindset, that mind frame. But we've had some local realtors, some other local wholesalers, some property managers come out, and like they're able to see the kids and see that we're family oriented. Like, oh, okay, these are just people. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. That's a great idea. I'm glad you said. See, I like to think that this podcast, I'm trying to give value to each of the guests.
yeah.
But I honestly feel like I get more value from it than maybe you will. But I hope not.
That's
Uh,
no, I see mine the same way. Like
okay.
I started it when Project Forward, uh,
Mhm.
when Pasted Project Forward a year ago, and I was like, what the heck am I going to do? Well, I guess I want to meet more people. Let's just do a networking. I call mine networking with Nathaniel, right? It's simple enough. It like kind of rang well, and I've said it a handful of times. Like, I started it selfishly because I wanted to meet people, but it does
Yeah.
provide value to both parties, and it provides value to, I hope that anybody that's listening has at least gotten something out of it. Like,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if it's one little thing. Like, I could see the wheels turning when I said that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's so simple. I could do that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. That's my thing. Like all the meetups around me are in Atlanta, and that's an hour and a half drive, which is
Yeah,
not bad. I don't mind it.
yeah,
Um, it's the time.
yeah,
They're almost always at 7:30 p.m. during the week.
yeah.
Now, my schedule, I work every third day because I'm a firefighter. So like
Okay.
I have those days open. But then I've got to explain to my wife, hey, you
You
got
only
to hang out with the
have
kids
5 hours. Yeah,
because they're already in bed at that
yeah,
point.
yeah,
So, but I've got to go, and I'll show up at night sometime.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's 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 tough,
yeah.
and because like we got stuff going on at our house. We're in this Airbnb, and like there's actually a meetup tonight that I won't be able to go to
Yeah.
because the last time we were in an Airbnb. Now, granted, we're not as deep in the woods this time. But last time when I was on shift, a bear came and ripped the trash can enclosure off the building, which was right outside
Oh,
the master bedroom. So freaked her out a
that's
little bit.
crazy. Yeah, I can imagine. Jeez Louise.
But goodness. Okay. Well, man. Now this is amazing. I really appreciate you coming on here. I've learned a lot, and I've kind of got some ideas. There was something you said earlier, or maybe it was before the podcast. Um, oh, you said you felt like you weren't doing enough
Mm.
at some point. That may have been before the podcast. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, like, I think we were talking about the posting that I do.
Yes,
Um,
that's right.
I I do post. I post a lot, compared to most people, but I do feel like I'm not. I still am not posting enough, especially content calendar wise stuff, like coming up with a cohesive thing that we're talking about every single day, um, on different subjects, and just bringing people into the network, right? You at one point, maybe 20 minutes or so ago, we're like, oh, we can get back to business. And like, yeah, I want to talk about business. That's why we connected in the first place, was real estate. But what really brings everybody, what makes people want to work with you is like, the kids, the different values that we have. And there's enough people out there doing real estate, but I want to do deals with friends and people that I can connect with. And like JJ Azizian was on my podcast a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's like known as the networking guru. And he said, like, if I can't bring you over to have dinner with my family, I don't want to do a deal with you. Like, I don't know if I'd take it that far, but right, like if I can't connect with you and there's not some sort of common values and things that we share, like when push comes to shove and something goes wrong, it's going to fall apart and we're going to be
Right.
at each other's throats. And so if I can't have a conversation with you and we can't chuckle and give those types of things, like we're probably not good to enter into a relationship together, right? Because that's what it is. If you're a PML and you're going to lend on one of my deals, we're going to be in each other's lives for at least a year. If we're partnering on a deal, it's going to be a lot longer than that. And so I got to have some vibe with you, right? I got off a call right before this, and he was like, I don't know if I should share this. Yeah, well, like the communication wasn't there before we even got into the deal. I said I was interested in the deal, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, well, we're supposed to close tomorrow, and I don't know anything about what's going on.
Yeah.
Like if the communication is not there now, what happens 3 months from now once my money's already invested in the deal and something's going wrong?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So that was a little sidetracky, but yeah, I do a lot on Facebook, and that's how I'm bringing people into our business as far as deals and money goes. And there's always more that you could do. I always feel shouldn't say I always feel, but at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I didn't get a post. I didn't get that post in that I should have done today. I didn't formulate that. I didn't create a short that I should have, that's ready and prepped to go for tomorrow. Like there's always more to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting because when saying that, it got me thinking that maybe I have a disconnect that I shouldn't, and that because you bring up a good point, right? I always tell people, and I'm probably going to butcher it now that I'm trying to recite it, but people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I think there's a disconnect in, okay, here's personal and here's business. Now, like, it's me, right?
Yeah.
If we're doing a deal together, it's me. It's not my company. Like, we are doing the deal. So thank you for that. You got me change my mindset on that a little bit. But yeah, now the when you had mentioned not feeling like you hadn't done enough, it actually brought me to, I think it was a little over a week ago. I was getting frustrated because really since Squat Up is when I was like, you know what, I want to start buying mainly multifamily, but I'm open to some single family. Like that's what I want to do. And then I got back from the high of Squat Up Summit and kind of like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And so as time went on, I was like, oh, you know what? This is not going fast enough because I'm still searching for my first deal. So
Okay.
I'm like, it's not going fast enough. You know what? I should just get over myself. I'm going to start door knocking. I'm going to start, even though I don't like cold calling, we'll work with it. I'll cold call something, just try and get something going on. And then I was listening to one of the Get Creative podcasts where he talked about, like, if you're a buyer, basically your lead generation is other people. Like go find people who are already locking up contracts, go get with them and buy their deals. And I was like, that's it. So I had always felt like I wasn't doing enough, but what I realized is that I wasn't doing enough of the right thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's something that you're going to struggle with always is like, the 80-20 rule, right? Because 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. And like, is what I did today moving the needle towards my goal? And I get to the end of a lot of days like, dang, I got on a couple phone calls that I shouldn't have today. Oh yeah, darn, we're not even going to get to your questions. Poop. I'm gonna answer some really quick. You one of yours was like, what's your strength and what your weaknesses are, and I say yes to too many things a lot of the times. I'm a helper. Like I want to help people out, and somebody will say, hey, I got a deal that I need somebody's opinion on. I'm like, okay, let's hop on a phone call, and that's a benefit of having my schedule so blocked, and that's I'm able to say no. I can't. I got a call in 3 minutes. I got to get on. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. If you shoot me the details in the DM or send it to my email, I could I'll take a look at it and give you my opinion, and then maybe we could talk on a phone call if something's if it's worth pursuing. But yeah, I forget what the other questions were. Darn it.
Yeah,
But,
no, I
yeah.
mean, we can run through them real quick. So first off, what made you want to be on the podcast today?
Yeah, just talking to I want to be on as many podcasts as I can, just to have more conversations like this. You said you got a bunch of value out of it. I do too. Just getting getting my name out there, talking to another person that's doing the same thing or looking to do the same things as we're doing in real estate or otherwise being a parent. Right? I wouldn't have learned some of the things that you talked about being a parent if we hadn't jumped on this conversation. Just having more conversations like this. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm selfish. I want to talk about myself. No.
There you go. All right. Second one, which it sounds like this is going to change real soon. Why aren't we doing business together?
You haven't brought me a deal yet.
There you go. Boom. Simple.
Yeah.
I love hearing people's response to that. Sometimes it's just like, well, we've never talked before.
Yeah. That when you pre asked me that, I was like, well, this is our first conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So you talked about your strength.
Yeah. Connecting with people. I think I'm a good communicator, and I think that the stress of somebody else's, maybe not life savings, but somebody else's savings forces me into that, and that not forces me into that, but I get to do that and be a strong communicator. And then I think that that's a weakness of mine, is not saying no and not prioritizing sometimes the things that I need to do inside my business and inside my family. Hey, I'll be out in a minute to come play with the kids. I'm going to hop on this call really quick and help this person out. I'm doing better at that recently, but
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay, so strength and weakness down. The last one, which we've kind of already touched on, but we can reiterate it. What do you need help with that's going to make you money in the next 30 days?
right now, yeah, definitely other people that are that want to lend or partner on our deals, that have money to lend, specifically on buy and hold properties. So co-living, midterm rentals, short-term rentals. And when I say co-living and pad split, right? Pad split is a model of co-living. We do both. I actually prefer not pad split for a couple of reasons that we don't have time to go into. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So good. That sets us up for the next episode. No,
Yeah, that's fine. If you'll have me, I'll come back on. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then lastly, where can people get in touch with you if they want to partner with you? Or okay, so
Yeah, the best place is
your website.
it's the I and the A are flipped on that
Oh,
on
goodness.
the last name, which is fine. It's right there above my head. Um, it if you wanted to connect on me with Facebook, it's there. Instagram, it's there. YouTube, it's there. The other things that I'm doing throughout the week are there. It's very basic. I created it myself. I'm proud of it though. It's it fulfills the need. It looks semi-professional. It looks
There you go.
but yeah.
Important.
I do need to hop off, Corey.
Absolutely.
I would love to continue the conversation on and off camera, but I got to be respectful of this other person's time as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. I
It's a
love
pleasure,
your
man.
dedication to time management.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Later, dude.
See ya. Well, guys, that's our show. I've never had one in like that, but hey, he's on top of it. Okay, I aspire to be like him. He's got stuff going on, and guys, he's looking for private money lenders, private money partners, and obviously more deals. So reach out to him. It's still down below. Um, go to his website, check him out. I know I'm going to. That being said, guys, if you like this show, like and subscribe. Different spot. It's all good. We'll be back in the new one next week. Until next time, guys, comment, whatever, do your thing. Love you. Peace. Until next week, be amazing.